As we see here on the table, there is much to be done where agriculture accounts for 70% of the water consumption, and over half that water is provided for irrigation, which of course is wasted with poor agricultural techniques.
And also with the pollution of nitrates and phosphates that go with the fertilizers and the synthetic organic chemicals that then run into the streams and underground water, polluting the water that we have available. It's a very serious scenario. So some of the greatest causes of pollution:
sewage, manure, chemical fertilizers that are being used in great excess, which create what is called nutrients, or generally phosphate and nitrates, fresh water and salt water, destroying the habitats. In excess levels, these nutrients overstimulate the growth of aquatic plants and algae in lakes and rivers. Excessive growth of these organisms walks light to the deeper waters. Now, we have found countermeasures through colleagues who have developed the use of positive use of microbes that are dropped into the water that eat the waste and restore the water bed or water flux to its original pure condition.
Right, because what you want to do is get rid of the dead zones, get rid of the algae, and in some cases it means even getting rid of some of the jellyfish which thrive in this water. The Mississippi River, for example, which drains nearly 40% of the continental U.S., including its central farmlands, because most of the farming is either done in the Midwest or in the Far West, carries an estimated 1.5 million metric tons of nitrogen pollution into the Gulf of Mexico each year, creating dead zones. And these dead zones affect people all the way to Cancun, where people can't even eat the local shellfish, which they used to do because of the penetration of these dead zones from the phosphates and certain bacteria that grow more successfully in these areas and really push the fish away and kill the fish in many cases.
So, excess nitrogen in surface and groundwater systems used for drinking water is dangerous to the health of certain groups of people and animals, strategic populations. For example, infants less than 6 months old are particularly susceptible to harm because their stomachs are not acidic enough to prevent the growth of certain bacteria which convert the nitrate to nitrates. And high levels of nitrates, of course, can oxidize hemoglobin to form what is called methanemoglobin, which is unable to carry oxygen. In other words, in that capacity, the brain shuts down, brain damage or death by suffocation takes place.
And there's other things that constantly get into our water. We're not even aware of it. Even nuclear energy is among one of the main causes of water pollution. Radioactive water pollution has been a number of causes for major shutdowns of certain water areas. Also, there's the mining areas that refine uranium and thorium. And there's the radioactive material used in industrial, medical, and scientific processes. All these have caused major problems throughout Europe and the United States.
Years ago, we worked with colleagues from NASA who developed a system using high-level harmonics to separate the waste from the heavier pollutants in the water stream. Unfortunately, the big industry was not interested enough at that time, even though the system was very, very elaborate. It could be brought into any slaughterhouse or industrial site on the back of a flatbed truck. In a matter of 35 minutes, you could take water contaminated by human blood or animal waste and make it pure enough for human consumption. So we have many possibilities, and personal care products are at the top
of what every individual can do. And actually, we compliment those people who really read the labels, look for bioorganic formulas, because otherwise many of these things just go right back into the system and pollute our waters. So we should look at what we're buying in terms of laundry detergents, bleach, fabric softeners, window cleaners, dusting sprays, even stain removers, hair dye, shampoo, conditioners. Colognes and perfumes are also another, because they're not as pure as they used to be. It's not just the normal oils. There's actually a lot of chemicals in a lot of these things. Toothpaste, mouthwash, antibacterial soaps, and even hand lotion. So all these things, you should read the labels, you should be conscious of what happens to them after you use them and where they go, because the whole scenario always comes back to the drinking water that we're drinking.
So we eventually excrete the drugs we take in by sending them into the waterways. We need medications Yes, but we need the proper medications and countermeasures. Studies have shown that upwards of 90% of our original prescriptions pass out of our body unaltered. Animal farming operations that use growth hormones, unfortunately, are affecting our human system. Antibiotics also send large quantities of chemicals into our waters, and we see the mutations of frogs, for example, in Minnesota, the state of Washington, even as far south as Venezuela. We notice, as we see here in the picture, frogs with 3 legs and multiple eyes that appear in various parts of the body.
Right, so ingredients, especially from birth control pills, are thought to be causing gender-bending hormonal effects in frogs and fish. And the chemical nonylphenol, a remnant of detergent, laundry detergent, is known to disrupt fish for reproduction and growth. There's a lot of chemicals in there that really, once they get into the system, once they get into the water, affect a lot more than what we see from our houses. So I remember living in Florida when the original detergents first came out with a lot of phosphates. You could actually look out in the water around your house and you could actually see bubbles, just because people were using laundry detergents. Fortunately, there was enough outcry from people that those phosphates were taken out. But there's a lot of things we don't see that only the scientists are seeing in the results that are coming about.
Scientists are finding, as it were, fragrance molecules within the tissues of fish. And we've seen, as far south where we've worked in the interior of the Amazon, the mutations taking place. And so we are recognizing the problem of mercury being discharged into the waters, into the lakes, into the freshwater streams from the big industrial plants that do not have any charter of control. This is, again, the importance of H2O to bring about a worldwide resolution to take proper networking measures throughout the world, to bring knowledge quickly from one part of the world to other parts that can be implemented.
Right, and I think eventually, the government came out and said that even pregnant women should not eat that much tuna fish. Why? The bigger fish, like swordfish and tuna, eventually consume so much mercury that it really can't affect our health. And of course, if we only eat once a week, it's not a big thing. But if you're developing a child over a 9-month period, it really can affect the child. It also affects the brain of the child. This is very, very dangerous. So mercury in the water is still a very pressing problem. But in summary, I think the most important thing that everyone should realize that
simply, you dump it, you drink it. In other words, one must have global awareness, but also local application. In the old adage, not in my backyard, no longer applies. We're seeing Mother Earth going through fantastic changes. The United Nations, again, has stated that with the proper understanding, we can protect the remaining resources of Mother Earth. If not, we're going to see with the destruction of the ice pack and the glacial parts of the Earth's surface, a vast change of the levels of the oceans going up from 1 to several meters, along with the temperature going up from what is predicted to be something on the order of 3 degrees Fahrenheit to possibly 7 degrees Fahrenheit within the next 100 years.
So remember, whatever you put into your environment actually comes back to you, whether it's the biological waste, the chemical waste, whatever you put out comes back to you. You dump it, you drink it, it's in the system, and so let's watch what we do, let's consume what we really need to consume that's healthy, that's well, and let's change the planet with new agricultural techniques and better ways of growing food, whether it's underground, monitoring the water.
And recognizing we have the genius to purify water now with breakthroughs that are coming through in desalinization. We thank you and we wish you well on this day of H2O, recognizing that we are all children of the rainbow, the sign given to Noah, that we can survive even if we have to learn to breathe underwater. Bless you as we sign off from this part of Central Europe to all of you around Mother Earth. May peace prevail on earth. Thank you.